Jordan Chariton is on the streets talking to homeless people. We have the eviction moratorium is going to run out soon, which means we're going to have a giant eviction crisis, giant foreclosure crisis. Rents are surging. BlackRock and Wall Street are buying up all the fucking homes and making it so it's out of reach for regular people. So he's talking to people on the streets and getting their stories. This is a great example here. It's going to break your heart. Here he is talking to a former construction worker who's now been homeless for over a year.
So tell me about, like, you people here. A lot of people think homeless or houseless and think these are all drug users and bums or whatever. But the truth is, it's a lot of normal people. I mean, they're all normal, but there's a lot of working class people that just got priced out of living in Philadelphia or fell on hard times, lost their job, and they can't afford the prices here. What was your story, if you're comfortable talking about it? And are there other people that fall into that category here?
Well, I used to do construction, and everybody know construction had stopped once the pandemic started. I wasn't able to pay my bills, nothing. So everybody that was living in the building was already getting evicted because of the COVID. So everybody came on the streets. I became homeless. Everybody out here don't do drugs. And that's what people think. Everybody out here is doing drugs and robbers, stealing, thieves, and all that. No, everybody is different. You got some people who do use drugs, and you got people who started to use drugs during the pandemic to cope. So when they come in and see us, they think everybody drug users. That's discrimination to me, because everybody is not the same. Even though if people are the same, we are the same as humans as everybody else. So we shouldn't be treated no differently. And I was working doing construction. I had it good. Once the pandemic hit, I couldn't do nothing. Work stopped, and I couldn't pay bills. I was struggling to feed myself. So I got on the streets and I started living in the park. And the park been my home since.
It's crazy. It's really ironic because President Biden's slogan during his campaign was "Build Back Better." And here you have somebody that was building for a living, construction, and through no fault of your own, you're sleeping in a park under trains. So it's just crazy to me that there's this notion in America where we're building back better, restoring the soul of the country, he said, but $400 million, who knows where it went, and people working for a living, white people, African-American people are left to sleep in the park, and the temporary relief isn't going to you, and it doesn't seem there's any permanent relief coming either.
No, ain't no permanent relief, ain't no temporary relief. But Biden say build it back up. What is getting built back up? We're not getting built back up. He's getting built back up because he's able to pocket some of the money that's coming in. But you also know you need to be able to fill out job applications and put a residence. My residence is the park. My thing is, what people say, you think somebody gonna hire somebody that's living on the streets? If I had housing, I'd have had a job. But I don't have nothing.
Also, the fact that you guys were forced, being out here in the winter, to basically bundle on top of each other, you were forced to do that during a pandemic where you're supposed to stay apart from each other. So, not that you did anything wrong. I mean, you want to stay warm, but you were basically forced to risk your health to survive, which is kind of a contradiction.
Yeah, and that's my thing. They was telling us to stay 6 feet apart. But if we got to be out here bundled up, how can we risk not spreading COVID? That's what we got to do to survive. That's even though we was taking a risk, as you said. For us, we didn't see it as no risk. We seen it as staying warm during the cold.
That breaks my heart in a million ways. So at one point he talks about, listen, they're allocating money for homelessness in all these different places, but we're not seeing any of the money. None of us are seeing any of the money. You know, where's the money? And I've told you guys about studies where it actually saves money in the long run to give homeless people a roof over their head. They don't have to go nuts, but if you give everybody one of those like mini houses, I mean, that would be the money actually being put to practical use. Where is the money going? You know, the system is totally broken. We actually could address this problem and fix this problem if we cared enough to do it. But it seems like there's, the money's being squandered and wasted, and maybe even worse than that. So he's saying, I bet the politicians are pocketing that shit, or whoever's involved at the various levels of the bureaucracy are pocketing that. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. This problem could be solved if people cared enough and structured a response that was effective. And there are ways to do that. So he went on to say, you didn't see this there, but he went on to say he couldn't afford to go to his mom's funeral. Oh, that's heartbreaking. He also says he cries every night. He explains how everybody doesn't do drugs there. Everybody isn't mentally ill there. Some are mentally ill, some do drugs, but not everybody's like that. People have just fallen on hard times, man, with a pandemic and a depression. And the part that probably landed with me the most was when he said he can't get a job because he's applied for a number of jobs, but they ask for a place of residence when you apply. And if you write that you live in the fucking park, or if you write that you live in a homeless shelter, they don't want to hire you. So, it's a conundrum. It's a paradox. You're at the bottom, you're trying to get up, but you're caught at the bottom permanently because of all these things in the system that are biased against you. So if you don't have a residence, you can't get a job. And none of them have residences. By definition, they're homeless. So when you try to better yourself, it doesn't work. Nah, man, broken system. This guy was a construction worker. He's a construction worker. If the system is letting people like him slip through the cracks, how really good is the fucking system? It's not too good, is it? Everybody deserves a roof over their head. We can eliminate homelessness and save money in the process. Let's do that. Let's also do UBI for people so they can actually afford to live even when they hit hard times. This stuff isn't rocket science, but you actually have to have a government that isn't massively corrupt. And unfortunately, we do have a corrupt government, so here we are. By the way, everybody check out Jordan Chariton's video. He interviewed a number of homeless people, so you could check it out. His YouTube channel is Status Quo. I'll leave the link in the video description box. He's also been obliterated by the algorithm just like we have on this channel, but I was fortunate because our channel is already big enough where they couldn't hurt me too much, His channel, unfortunately, wasn't big enough yet, so when he gets screwed by the algorithm, he really gets screwed by the algorithm. But he does some great reporting. He's always all over the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Link in the video description box. You can see him talk to other homeless people or watch the rest of this interview. He's doing a lot of great on-the-ground reporting. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.